Welcome to NASPA Tonight.
This is all of your Scrabble news in 25 minutes or less.
I'm Josh Greenway.
I'm Jackson Smylie.
Let's talk about Scrabble.
Time starts right now. Thank you, everyone who's tuning in despite the Alchemist Cup happening at this very moment.
Don't tell them about the Alchemist Cup now. They're all going to leave. No, we're going to post a link to that later in the show. Yeah. We suggest you go right from NASPA Tonight over to that stream.
Complement each other.
Absolutely.
And since we're all in tournament mode, we might as well get right off the road with Tournament Talk, which is the best segment of every week, as voted by our NASPA Tonight fans. It is confirmed.
So let's open up Tournament Talk. Oh, that says NASPA Tonight. That doesn't even say Tournament Talk.
But they kind of go hand in hand. Like, you associate one with the other.
Absolutely. That's
so,
true. Okay,
how many tournaments do we have this week? I think we have...
Well, let's do the results first,
right?
Results first. That's how we do it. So last week, we only... that is the wrong graphic. Let's talk about the tournaments, and we'll do the results later, all right?
So, I gave the wrong graphic for results, so I think we got the last week one by accident.
Yeah,
anyways,
that's true.
So we're going to be doing two North American tournaments that we're predicting this week. The first one is the Manhattan tournament.
Yes.
And we're going to just put that up on the screen. Oh, here we go. We got some results.
We got some results. So here's what we predicted last week. We predicted Calgary. I got the first pick. I picked Uri. So I got a point for that. And there were two tournaments that weren't completed last week that are here are the results. Neither one of us got Santa Fe. You got a point for Brooklyn, so we were even last week. You continue to have a lead.
Keep my lead. I'm very
comfortable with
this. So this week, Josh gets the first pick of the night with the Manhattan tournament.
That's right. That's the biggest tournament
it is.
Coming up this weekend in North America. How about
really? That's crazy. So this is the TWL field.
Oh,
we have the reigning national champion that Josh loves to pick, and Cesar always beats him. Like, it just, at some point, you got to start picking Cesar. Like, he's by far the best.
Well, now you're just goading me into it. What do people in the comments think? Hi, Joe. Hi, Matt. I think, he's been hot. He's been on a roll.
5 tournament winning streak.
I know. This, I may be jinxing him, but let's go, Cesar.
No, I was so ready for the 6th win, but now it's not going to happen. I'm going to go with Joel Sherman.
Okay. Let's move on to our next tournament, and that would be, this is South Bend, Indiana.
Sweet.
So you get to make the first pick.
I'm going to go with Ned Caraiva. I don't think I met him, but I like his rating.
He ran for advisory board. I know that.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember reading his profile. So I will go, we got an out-of-state situation here. So I'm going to go Mark Garrod. I like it when people travel out of state to go do that stuff. And now we've got one big pick to make.
In case you weren't sure, there is a big tournament happening right now in the world.
That's right.
It's called the Alchemists Cup.
Yes.
We've been covering it the last couple of weeks. It's going to be quite the blast, 45 games long. And instead of an individual tournament, this is special. This is a team event. So here are the 10 teams.
Yeah, and you can see who the players are.
Yeah, on 5 players on each team.
Who are the teams that you're rooting for at home? If you want to throw that into the comments,
tell us who you're rooting for.
That would be awesome. The way we're going to pick this is we're each going to make 3 picks, and we're trying to get as many picks into the top 3, because the top 3 teams win a bunch of cash.
Yes, I think the top team gets 10,000, and I think the second team gets.
How do they split it? Evenly or based on?
Depends who the team is. Maybe the Nigel Richards team gets like half the money to him. I don't know. I don't know how Nigel's figured this one out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay,
so since they're paying 3, we're gonna each guess the top 3 stake style, so we can't.
We can't pick the same team.
So since Josh is at the deficit here, I'm going to let him pick first.
Yeah. So I'm going to go Team USA. I feel like they are sort of the number 1 overall favorite, but there are obviously some other strong teams.
There was a poll. Yeah, there was a poll on, I think, Scrabble Snippets, and I think USA, last time I checked, was in first for most votes.
Okay, so now you're going to pick teams, the second and third picks here. Who are you picking?
So my first 2 picks. The first one has got to be Australia.
Okay.
And the second one's going to be Nigeria.
And Nigeria. Okay.
Even without Wellington, I think.
Yeah, Wellington is. We learned this. Wellington is attending a African championship, something like that.
He is, and part of the reason I want to pick Nigeria is because Moses Peter just won the African Scrabble Championship. I think just yesterday, or maybe it's 2 days ago. But Moses Peter just edged out Wellington in the African Championship, and he's on this team for Alchemists. So I think he's going to carry it.
I see. Okay. So now my next team is I'm going with Rest of World because we've got Adam Logan on there and Austin Shin and some other people. Lewis, I've heard of. I don't necessarily know the other 2 players, but I like the makeup of that team. And so that leaves me with, I would think it's hard to argue against. All right, I'm going New Zealand.
New Zealand, all right.
Yes.
So that means I have 1 pick left.
1 pick.
And I have got to go with Thailand.
Seems like I left that one on the table.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's go over what our teams are. So what are your 3 teams? What are your top 3?
Chose USA, Rest of World, and New Zealand.
And I have Australia, Nigeria, and Thailand.
Right.
It's going to be good.
Okay.
So that wraps up tournament talk for this week. I'm super excited to watch Alchemists Cup. I know my grades are going to suffer as I do not study for my exams.
We're gonna attempt to do a live look a little bit later on that tournament when we get to the end of the show here. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is a few weeks ago, maybe it was a month ago, we did a show all about Scrabble rivalries.
Yes.
And we've covered the idea of doing series on this show before. You and Josh Jr. are famous for doing these long series. You do them in different cities that you're in.
Yeah.
I've often been very critical of the way you guys communicate the results of those
we
tournaments.
post on Facebook usually. We do like 1 game at a time on Facebook.
But you don't post all the games.
Post most of them.
Well,
almost all, I would say.
Anyway, you do a particular job, and I always think you could do a little bit more.
So what did you do?
So I had my own series. I went to my Scrabble rival. One of the things we talked about on that show a month ago was I asked, can players who are not 2,000 rated, can they have a series? And what did you say?
I said, of course, unless your name Josh.
So I decided to take on one of my Scrabble rivals, Andre Popadinik. He and I have a 22-22 career tournament record against each other. Very close in terms of the scoring, and it's often gone back and forth. So we played a best of 7 series this past weekend. I'm not going to reveal the winner, but we made a little video of the whole experience. So I want to give people a taste of that. It's a 6-minute video. It's up on NASPA's YouTube page. We're going to drop the link into the comments below. But I want to give you a little preview of what the video looks like. So we're going to play about a minute of it, and that will cover the introduction and the first game of the series. So let's go ahead to that, and I'm going to drop a link into Facebook. Yeah, that's where we're broadcasting, right? Here we go, everybody. Hi there, I'm Josh Greenway. I'm looking forward to this best of 7 series against my buddy Andre.
Hi, I'm Andre Popadinik. I play Scrabble.
I'm certainly the underdog. This guy studies. I don't study.
Always had a good rivalry going.
Andre and I have always played very tight games. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to have a close series here.
We've decided to try one of these Jackson Josh Jr. type 7-game series.
Game 1 is in the books.
It's done.
Andre is up 1-0. I was leading most of the game. I had an early bingo, but I could not stand up against your 2 blank bingos. What were your 2 bingos?
Rumius along the triple line, and Antimony, which is
Antimony?
Antimony. I was hoping you wouldn't try challenging it because I didn't have 100% confidence in it.
Well, that sealed the deal when you played the second bingo. I've got some work to do. I'm down 0-1. Fingers crossed, everybody.
Spread of 52.
So I can guarantee that if you go ahead and check out the full video, you will definitely doubt Josh's claim that Andre studies, because I now doubt this claim, especially after that pronunciation of antimony.
Anyway, there's a lot of sort of little jokes back and forth, and we try to do it in a way that really shows some personality through, some play on the board, and what sort of the story arc of doing a series is like. Somebody's ahead, somebody comes back, how it comes down at the end, stuff like that. So I encourage you to check it out. And if you're there on the YouTube page, if you haven't already, if you can subscribe to that page, if you have a Gmail account or a Google profile, that would really help us out on the NASPA side. So yeah, that's series.
Play the series, find your rival.
That's right. That's what we wrap the video up with. Find your rival, play as much Scrabble as you can.
And the last way you can post with your series is by posting the games online. And earlier this week, annotate them. And earlier this week, I just did a fun little poll on NASPA Scrabble to see who people's favorite annotators are. Because my favorite thing about annotated games is not learning about Scrabble. It's about being entertained by people's funny commentary. So the winner of this was Cesar by a landslide. People love Cesar's commentary, and I made a little kind of like a Cesar trading card, you could say.
Yeah, I love
it. For Cesar's annotated games. He is known for his commitment to the process. His Scrabble strength is variance. You'll even see he posted on Facebook today about variance.
Yes,
how much he loves variance. And below here, you can see this is his commentary in Nationals in Buffalo 2014 when he let a phony 4 go.
Do you want to read it out?
On his first flight. I think people can read it for themselves.
Okay. Anyway, these are very entertaining. We would recommend. This is a fun way to, I guess, learn a little bit about Scrabble, but mostly be entertained.
Yeah,
right?
It's a bit of both. I love Cesar's commentary. I love his self-deprecation more.
And the way you find it is you go to Cross Tables, you look up Cesar, and then you click on the thing that says annotated games, and you'll see a whole long list there, and then you can click into them, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's how it goes. So I want to highlight one other player, my personal favorite annotator, Tasha Asbury. She has a totally different approach to Scrabble annotation. She, as you can see below, she writes these these weird storylines for all of her games. Like, for example, like Tasha gets Tasha-like at Nationals, episode 1, aka Tasha's endgame misadventures, episode too many. Every one of her games starts with one of these weird little taglines, and she often references Tasha's bimbonic moments. So I think that if she ever did a Scrabble stand-up special, that would be bimbonic moments with Tasha.
Well, I really like the notion like Tasha's eventful events in Reno. Like I love anything with a story arc. So I think that's great. I'm gonna have to check that out.
She has a totally different sense of humor of Cesar, but I absolutely love it. So check out her games.
All right. So what do we have next?
We wanted to talk about Scrabble versus chess. We aren't even exactly sure what we want to talk about, but there's a lot of different ideas comparing chess and Scrabble. It kind of feels like that's like our natural sister organization, the chess.
Kind of, except that it's huge.
I mean, the only real difference. Anytime
you talk about chess from an organization standpoint, the conversation has to start and basically end with FIDE, FIDE. I don't even know how FIDE, they necessarily say it, but FIDE, the World Chess Federation. So just to give you a sense of scale, and people probably know this, chess is a very, very large game, but it has 185 member organizations. I don't know how many WESPA has. Can you count them on two hands? I'm not sure. Maybe it's between 10 and 20, but 185 member organizations. So those are countries or states or whatever. In a few years ago, there was a member count for FIDE at almost 500,000 members of that organization. Wow. Chess.com is a popular place where people go and play live games of chess online. They have a membership number of over 25 million members. We also went to that site earlier, about half an hour ago or so. They have, there were 3 million games played on that platform today, and they had 71,000 people logged into the site at the moment that we checked it. So when we talked about it, and Julia Bogle says that we have a retired chess master watching your show. So I imagine is that Joe or is that Julia? I don't know whether she's referencing herself, but I feel like I saw Joe in the comments. I don't know if Joe has ever watched this show before, but I think that is where you would start. You talk about sister membership, but supposedly, depending on who you ask, the number of people who play chess in the world is anywhere from a low estimate of 300 million people to a high estimate of anywhere from 600 million to 1 billion people play chess.
I mean, the numbers for playing Scrabble are probably not so much lower.
They're probably in the
millions. Multi-millions. I think over a third of American households have a Scrabble board or something like that.
How many of them play it, Jackson?
Good question. So, I mean, another big difference between the two organizations, or the two tournament scenes, I should say, is how they handle playoffs. Because we just concluded the World Chess Championship, where Magnus Carlsen successfully defended for the second time against his challenger, the American Fabiano Caruana. It was an extremely tight match, possibly the tightest ever. You could argue.
They played 12 games.
They do 12 games.
And it took them like 50 hours to play those 12 games. Yes, you do one game a day because the chess games are way slower. Scrabble games, you get 25 minutes aside. Chess games, I think you start with an hour and 40 minutes, and you even get extra time as the time goes on. Right.
So they're long games. It's like a slow process. You get up and walk around.
And what's the headline for those 12 games?
The headline is that they drew, like that means they tied all 12 of them, which is very rare. Like I don't know if this ever, I think it may have happened at one other World Chess Championship, but it's extremely rare. I mean, obviously in Scrabble, tying a game is like 1 in 200 or something. In chess, it's a lot more likely, but still tying 12 games kind of shows how even these two players were. And Magnus Carlsen, the eventual winner, even admitted like, hey, at full speed chess, we are completely even, which brings us to the tiebreaker they used.
Well, and just before you get to the tiebreaker, part of Magnus's strategy, from what I read anyway, was to look for those kind of draws and made a very early offer for a draw in the 12th game to go to the playoffs where he felt he had an advantage.
Yeah, so basically the playoffs, the way they do it is they do speed games. Like for them, speed games is actually 25 minutes aside. I think adding 10 seconds a move or something. So kind of like a Scrabble game length is a speed game for chess. And they do, I think, 4 games of speed. And if they tie those games and they move on to like rapid and then blitz, they just get tighter and tighter and faster until there's like some 1-game final. But it's very unlikely to ever get there. So basically chess uses time controls to do tiebreakers, where Scrabble does like spread usually, or sometimes playoffs.
That's right. So the question is, in Scrabble, could we learn from that?
Could we do this?
And maybe, I've never heard anyone talk about Scrabble playoffs being determined with a shorter clock. Well, I don't know. What do you think the appropriate length would be?
So I've heard some people arguing for this. Maybe you do like 5 or 10 minute games just to decide. And the argument I always hear against this is that it changes the game. It's a different game to play a 5-minute game, which it absolutely is. But then when you think about it, the World Chess Championship, which is like one of the largest, if not the largest, game championships ever, uses these time controls.
And I'm sure changes that game.
And it does, because as Josh just mentioned, Magnus Carlsen knew he had a big advantage in the faster games because he's a much more like quick and intuitive player. He doesn't require all the calculation. So he had a strategic advantage when he was trying to tie the games to go into these speed rounds. So,
and then I think he went undefeated.
He won all 3 and he just like completely destroyed it. It wasn't even close. So this kind of like, I think makes the argument, I mean, this really makes a strong case for the fact that, this is actually a pretty reasonable thing to do. Like, this is a very commonplace thing to do. It's okay if it changes the game. Maybe that's part of the game, to be able to be versatile and be able to play a really quick, intuitive game rather than a slow, calculated game.
I would be all in for this. One of the things that gets decided every year at the advisory board level is whether or not we should have playoffs at nationals. One of the things that restricts that ability is when we sign those contracts. They're often, now this past year is maybe not the best example, but they're often done a little ways in advance. So by the time we're talking about how the playoffs work, it's already decided how much space we have, how much time we have it for, stuff like that. So I've long advocated for, after the 31 games, after everyone's played 31, then do your playoffs and give people the option. Certainly, a lot of people will end up leaving, but I think you'll still end up with a room with 100 people, 150, maybe even 200, if you can make it into a real event to watch the final games go down.
Yeah.
Now, going to a shorter speed game would make that, I think, a lot more interesting.
It would make it very exciting for sure.
Yeah.
And like the Canadian Nationals actually does this. They do, everyone plays 18 games and then they break for the top two to do.
But they still play full.
Yeah, it's full speed.
Like,
it's full speed.
It's a whole day.
Yeah, it's
right?
a whole day. It's
the
a
finals,
whole extra day.
That's right.
So I think it would be really cool if we were able to just have tiebreakers as speed games. Because like, it doesn't even interrupt tournaments too much. You could do it while the prize ceremony is just starting because, most prize ceremonies usually aren't the quickest endeavors. But, so I think it'd be interesting. Tell us your thoughts in the comments. Tell us if you'd be willing to play a tournament that used speed games as tiebreakers, or tell us if you would absolutely never do that. And
we got some really interesting comments when we put up the ad for that we were going to talk about Scrabble versus chess. Definitely a lot of people pointed out Scrabble players who have also played competitive chess. So we wanted to shout out some of those people. Dean Hergott is one of those people, as well as some other Canadians like Wayne Barkley, Jim Brennan. There were some questions, maybe Dave Koenig and Jeff Thevenot.
Dave Koenig for sure.
Steve Grob mentions Jerry Lerman.
Yeah.
And there are some other people. Barry Keith has a really interesting comment on there where he talks about different Scrabble floors and all that kind of stuff. Again, some really interesting things going on there.
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of cool to check out a chess tournament once just to see like how it's run and see like how it differs. I've never been to one.
Yeah, for sure. And you got to figure they must be big.
Yeah, you'd assume so with what 70,000 people playing right now. So I just posted in a comment the link to the Twitch stream for the Alchemist Cup, which is currently happening now. They just finished game 1. Ganesh just pipped Will Anderson. That's the terminology they use overseas when you beat someone. What does that mean? When you win by like fewer than 10 points, it means you pip someone. So Will Anderson just lost by 6 points to Ganesh Asirvatham in the first round. But check out the stream. It's going to be going all night. If you live in North America, stay up till 5 a.m. today to watch this stream.
And if you're in between games, one thing that we want to talk about is last week, we were really happy with the show that we did. That was a Team USA breakdown. We had Jesse Day on live. We provided a lot of video footage from interviews that we've conducted with different members of the team, and it provided a really nice preview for that tournament. So obviously they're just getting started. It's the morning over in Malaysia right now. So this is something to watch maybe when games aren't live. Yeah. But I'm going to post that link into Facebook now.
Yeah, it was a pretty good episode last week.
Yeah, you can find all our previous episodes. We did 2 previous episodes that were all focused around this tournament, so you can check those out. And the other thing that we want to try, now there's not much action happening here, but we're going to attempt a live look-in. Are we still going to try to do that?
I don't know if we are because the game is not live right now.
I want to see if it works.
All right. So I want to get the next round matchup for Alchemist Cup. I think next round is going to be Jesse Day versus Chris May. So you get 2 Jessies at once. You get Jesse Matthews commentating, Jesse Day playing. It is. Ben Schoenbrunn just confirms it is Chris May versus Jesse Day. It is the May Day in Malaysia right now. And I'm definitely going to be checking out this stream because I want to see this match. I don't think Chris May has played in a while. He was a really top 10 player about 5 years ago or something. But now he has not won as much. Hasn't played as much. We're checking in on the live feed. That is table 1. That's the board where Ganesh peaked. Is that what we said? Pipped Will Anderson for 6 points. The stream looks like it just went down. So we just caught it in time. Should be back in 10 minutes for the next game. But we really encourage you guys to check that out. It's going to be going on the next 5 days. It's like 9 games a day, 45 games.
Right. Well, the schedule's something like, anyway, it doesn't matter. It's like 9, 10, 10, 10, 6, something like that. You always got to go less on the last day because people want to get the hell home. You know?
That's true.
It's true whether you're playing around the block or whether you're playing in Malaysia. So, finally.
Yeah, we got some. We have the second most important aspect of NASPA tonight, which is Scrabble birthdays.
That's right. Let's bring the Scrabble cat up here and let's talk about we love everybody who comes into the show, who watches the show, who comments on the show. We wouldn't be doing this if you guys weren't watching, but we always keep a special place in our heart for our Scrabble birthday babies. Those include this first one's a special friend of NASPA Tonight. He was helping with a lot of setup at Nationals. That's Jonathan Kent. We have Supriya Devnani. We have Ruth Haywood. We have the aforementioned Wellington Jaguar. We have Barbara Bolts. We have Orhan Orgun. We have Nancy Conopal. And we have Lori Rose Alley. A very special happy birthday to all of you.
So we want to say a big thank you to everyone who tuned in, and please go check out the Alchemist Live Cup stream.
That's right. And look at this.
We are only 1 minute and 9 seconds over. Must be a new record on NASPA Tonight.
All right. And we will be back next week, we think, on a special night. Did you figure out?
Yes, it's going to be next Thursday.
Okay. Take that with a grain of salt. We're going to put up an ad. I got to check my calendar as well, but I think next Thursday. Or it could be Tuesday. I don't even know.
It's going to be one of the two.
My reason has changed.
Keep both nights open.
But that's going to be the last NASPA Tonight of the year.
It will,
okay? Yeah. And then we'll be taking a break over the holidays, and then I think we'll be coming back. Is that true?
Yes, that is what we think.
Okay, very good. All right. Thanks, everybody. Go watch the stream. Game 2 is going to be getting started soon. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good night.
Keep playing Scrabble.
Smoking local records.